Greetings again. Over my parents' place, just doing some work. Thought I'd sneak in a few words, maybe. Too many thoughts. I don't even know where to start. Oh, those verses in the description. You know, when something means something for someone, when it's given, a little here, a little there, never going to be more than that, even though that includes sometimes more, sometimes less. It never is outside of here a little, there a little. Those words cannot be false. They never are a lie at any time. There must not be any other way. There can't be any other way. That is the only perfect good thing. Too much to learn. Can't be done in 1 year. It's not even possible. That's what I see. What did I put for the clearing out? I think that's one of the things we read in there. A clearing out, fear, these other powerful words in those verses. How do you even describe something, anything that's true with words? It's hard to do always. I put in snakes on a plane. I think I spelled that right, not like an airplane, because it's the truth. There's a lot of snakes everywhere, and their only intention is to destroy someone and bite someone with intentions that it poisons and kills. And it's tiring to see. And if it can't be anything different, if it will not be anything different, and that's what's known in heaven, then away from everyone. Go away. That's it. Like I read, that might offend someone. It will. There's nothing in common between light and darkness. I mean, how does the sun have anything to do with its perfect opposite? And the darkness never exposed light, because it can't do that. It's not even about pride or being right or wrong for some stupid carnal thing. It can never do that at any time. No one ever used darkness to bring out darkness. That's foolishness. Utter contradiction, spiritual contradiction. And it's evil and blind. The Father will absolutely reveal everything and everyone. And it's already started. It's already happening right now, and it continues to. The more that's revealed, the more someone manifests what they always were within, which is what the world's becoming more and more, and that just has to be so. It was not that it was different or better, but you can talk like that from the carnal, worldly perspective. Like that used to be better back in the day. And I could, I get that. I see that. The natural, like carnal things, you could talk about certain things that are better, that were better. But within, though, it's no different. It's always been the same. So that just has to be, that has to be right along, right along the narrow way. It just has to be there. No one can escape. And it's hot today, which is a contrast to cold and darkness. And even though the world says a bunch of words, a bunch of right words, like the boy cried wolf, and wear them out so that they mean nothing to someone. and just sounded good and looked good to someone. But to know whatever something means, then those simple words that seem stupid to people all of a sudden become wisdom for them, for someone to understand. Well, that would be the hope. Otherwise, then someone's not learning and growing at all, and then it can be sure that they're in continual unbelief and death, which is what someone will try to do in this world. It just has to be so, and take that away from someone, and nothing makes me more sick to than to see that and see it working to some degree. Oh, yeah. Not yet. Nope. At parents' place. It's doing some work. Don't feel like eating right now. Finish the work first. What's been interesting is like natural things they just seem to appear. Maybe they've been there for a long time, that start matching what's happening within. The kingdom of heaven is within, and you look at it, and then it becomes amazing. Like just even a plant, and people know the natural thing that are into that pruning and all this stuff, all the whatever pH levels, and over trying to make them grow. That happens a lot, I think, trying too hard. There's definitely a balance that needs to be struck with everything. And when balance is used out of truth, that never means a little bit of evil mixed in. Never. Although that's what everyone is first, and it needs to change. But for the truth, though, the perfect thing, balance never means actual evil as accepted right along with the good. It needs to be separate, a separate thing, a separate spiritual category in someone's mind and heart. Which I guess there is a difference between those two things too. The pruning, those branches were a part of that little plant. It was the plant, and then they have to be broken off for continual growth. That's that simple. But it's not speaking naturally. But there's the picture. And then it becomes amazing to me, hopefully for someone else, whatever truth is. Because since that thing is attached, it's a part of who and what the person is. And for it to break off is to die. It's letting go a little bit. But it's actually all for good, but it's not fun or easy. It's more like really painful. Which is what we read a lot of, maybe way more than what the world, that whatever it cannot see. You have to talk like that to make a contrast. The world doesn't see, but more than what the world could ever see in unbelief. That means something pretty big and deep. And that's what everyone's running and hiding from constantly until you get caught. And then you can't run anymore, or try to and figure out you do. And then it has to die some more. But you can make a bunch of people clap their hands reading something about Jonah in a church building, I guess. But when people see that reality, then they're offended and they don't like it so much. They didn't want to see change after all, which is exactly the only truth I know, is growing and getting better, which means there's some wrong things for sure that's been done in the past, and it was necessary. it had to be so in that moment, but now it's time for that branch to break off if it's for pruning. But it had to be that way. And that said, with no justification for sin at all, who can see the difference? Another perfect balance. That said, not to justify sin at all, but out of truth that it had to be that way, out of understanding why it had to be that way, without, in someone's mind and heart, justifying any of the evil, with no intention for saying those words. You won't get rewarded in this world for truth. That's going to look stupid. It's going to be offensive. Love your enemies by not doing what they do back to them, to others back to them. And then, how long does it take to start understanding the law, the purpose of the law? Just sum it up in one word, with no understanding. And just say love people. But this world specifically is not telling the truth when they talk like that. How can someone that's not alive know what that is, what life is, what love is? They think they know, just like everyone, including self, constantly finding out it's not what self thought it was, every day. Which doesn't mean something brand new is learned every single day, but it's true every day anyways. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But the good thing about what we read there in the description, those verses, is that there's no other way. That is the good thing. All that, what someone would hate and try to run from, which you can't. That is the only good thing, and someone has to face that. Everyone does. You can't actually hide from the Creator, from the Father himself. That's foolish. Because it's foolish, that's it. That's all. It's just the truth. It's foolish to try to run. It doesn't mean someone won't ever do that again, and what that means. It's still true. All the difference in the world is not that someone's different, started different, was better than anyone, but that they believe and that they're changing. That's what matters, that they really believe, which is once again going back to what the world will do and try to do. And they come in with clever, crafty masquerades. And that's not a pleasant thing to see. And the works prove it, speaking out of the works, not what someone says for proof, but what they do, their intentions from the heart, which has to be given to see in the first place. And we'll be wrong about that too many times. That happens too. Or maybe it was partly right and partly wrong, which that partly wrong has to go away still. Can't include it with the good. It just has to be acknowledged and cut off, pruned. There can't be any, specks on the garment like we read. Even hating the spots on a garment. But, anybody in the world could hate that naturally, but they don't hate what it means. Not yet. I don't see it from this world. Not expecting it from this world. Just speaking about what I see for truth. Can't talk about anything unless it exposes something that's dark in this world. I don't even know how to do that. The sun can't be bright without exposing literal darkness. Then someone will think the intention of the sun is to what? Some kind of mixed up confusion there. It could be, that could be even for a believer, that something crooked, a little bit's crooked inside. It could be true, but the person attacking would do that anyways, even if it was perfect from someone in that moment, even if they did what was perfect in that moment with clarity. They'll do the same thing anyways. They don't see a difference between good and evil. That has to be given. No one even sees how often we read that word or the exact same meaning without using the word given, how often it is in his word. It's there a lot. The teaching is there a lot because we forget a lot. How many times did Messiah repeat himself over and 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 over? Say it one more time, which is not bad if it's good, but just trying to bring out something. Whatever we read, he must have done that constantly. Same parables too. What's the point of putting it in every single time? There is no point. The Father already knows what's perfect. Sometimes more with something, maybe sometimes less, and then you find out for maybe a little bit of that reason too, why something's only in there seemingly one time or something stands out only once. Like the new covenant in Jeremiah 31:31, it's not said like that anywhere else. Just one time, new covenant in all of Scripture in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, obviously, what someone viciously hates, and there's many people that do, and they say they're a believer. They've revealed themselves for who and what they are. They started out saying they believe in Messiah, and then their end is utter bitter hatred towards him, saying it openly, what they always believed from the beginning, which is what they cannot see, won't want to see, that they're the same people, everyone is the same people first. Those Pharisees that ultimately literally killed him long before he killed them with the heart. That's everyone first. That's continually someone until it's a little here, a little there, starts, being cut off. There's just not many in this world that it's being cut off that I can see. If it was a different truth, I'd say it. If I saw something different. All I see is justification for sin. That's it. That doesn't mean someone, what someone going to take that and turn it for evil? Of course they will. You're wicked. You only see wickedness. And they're talking about themselves. Have they ever read what Messiah said? It's not so good concerning what mankind is. But they claim to believe, though. That's the problem. They don't believe what they read at all, whoever this may be. A wolf gotta eat, though, and seeing that picture is pretty stunning and not easy. The only way a wolf survives is killing things, eating others. Has to be seen. It's going to offend someone, at first. It's going to offend everyone at first. Whatever the new truth someone sees, it's offensive first. Then you try to lie and say it's not. Then no healing and understanding comes for lying. That can be counted on. Like clockwork is just a picture. That's not perfect. That's just a good picture of something that's perfect, the Father perfect, way better than a clockwork, He created it. The wheel in the sky keeps on turning. I'm a little bit confused, really confused. So much deeper and greater than a wheel in the sky truth, even though all truth should be accepted and is good. Then try to take that truth and make money with it. And then something blows up like flat earth and people try to make money off of it. Their intentions are wiped out, corrupt, dirty, no good. But that image is powerful, what they try to sell, that they are doing for what they say they do it for. That's a powerful image. It's going to be believed by this world. If you don't believe the image of the beast, they can only hate you. That's it. I guess that's why, there is a true body, oneness that already exists that people have to enter. They don't create their own thing. No one can do that. It's just a delusion to create, all the different delusions in the world, the like-minded in some kind of carnal thing. It's just a shadow, an image of something true. It's not real. It's not the truth itself. Just because there's so much evil and violence and division doesn't mean that there is not one thing that does exist that isn't any of that. It's just that by the time the world sees it, they cannot believe it. Cannot. They won't believe it because it looks just like the lie to them. It looks the same. In their heart, it looks the same, identical. Yeah, there's no difference for an image, but everything's different, for real truth within. But the image is the same. That's what masquerading is. It's done all the time, constantly, everywhere. It's happening all the time with all kinds of different literal materialistic things. That's not the important thing. That's not the understanding. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be about a pencil or a gas can someone's fighting about. The same thing's happening in the heart. That's it. It's the same. You just, constantly learning, just let it be, which hasn't the world said that? Is that new words? Nothing new under the sun. But what the Father gives someone is new. It's just not new to someone that can't see and doesn't believe yet. They've heard those words. They think they believe and understand it. It's not new to them. So nothing's new under the sun yet. Whatever he gives is new. That has to be understood because it's going to sound like a contradiction. The only contradictions that matter are spiritual contradictions. Those don't exist. Natural, carnal, with his word, literal word, contradicts all the time, and there's no problem because the meaning has to be seen. People don't want to acknowledge it in the church world. They tell you openly, they sell that his word doesn't contradict right up front like a salesperson. And that guards and suppresses all truth and unrighteousness like we read. Just that one thing does that. Just that one thing, it has to be overcome, let alone anything else. Just that one thing is evil forever, and it stays with someone as long as it's continually not acknowledged in unbelief. It will never leave them. It will never forsake them. And that's bad. That's bad now. The evil will never forsake them. That's bad. Sounds good. Bad. Then there's the good, never forsake. The good, the Father will never forsake his people that believe, which someone always out there is trying to destroy. If you do whatever's right, they'll hate you more for it, because what does light have to do with darkness? Which is a hard balance to find and know. Do you worship your own image, my own image, and try to please someone that's doing actual evil to you so that it can sound and look good and come out good, so-called? Or do you speak the only truth you know in that moment, and it brings fire on their head, and that's all that was right in that moment? No, it doesn't mean anybody did this perfectly, far from it, but that, learning and growing constantly, doing the right thing more, the evil thing less. That's the process. So there, unless someone's like at the very end of their race, there's no one that's there yet until that time, until that end of the finish line. Because it's perfect. There's a reason then for everything. So it's stupid to say I'm done and you're only 1 mile in from 5 million. For that person, it's done because they lied and believed the lie. In reality, their reality is they're done. They're done. They're done. They don't have faith. They don't believe. They're destroyed. They're done because they said they're done when they're not. Therefore, because of that lie, the Father makes it the reality. It's all working together perfectly at the same time somehow. So that, what someone believes is incredibly important. Even all the different things about self is incredibly important too. Which sounds selfish to say. believing things about self is very important. It's going to sound selfish. It's going to come across that way. So then when it's time to be selfless, selfishness. When it's time to be what seems like selfish but really isn't, the backwards thing is always done first. When it's time to be easy, soft, someone's hard and cruel. And when you're supposed to be stern, not hard and cruel evil, but stern, strict, truth, then they're soft and they lie to their neighbor so that they can please that person and so that they can think they're a good person. Therefore, their heart is utterly corrupt and has nothing to do with actually caring about that person for their good at all. When that evil is done, the other thing can't be true within at all, not zero. Then the world, the way it works, it thinks if it does one or two good things on purpose, that it thinks it's good, that proves and covers all the evil. No, it does not. Never works. It doesn't work. Someone can think that it works, they believe it works, they believe the lie, they really do. But it's not working for real. They're in death still. They just won't want to acknowledge it. It's not working. There's no other way. That's why we read there's no other way. Because there isn't. Because it's the truth. Belief in the Creator and Messiah. There is no other way. No one can believe in the Father, the Creator, himself, the only true Creator, and no one else, if they don't believe in the Messiah at all. They can't. They don't. They're liars. Lying off they go. They'll lie. Shouldn't expect anything else. But, that's something to swallow, bear the burdens of seeing whatever it is he's giving someone to see. That person has to bear it. What's the temptation? Go around in the world and just usually start trashing someone, try to bring them out for evil intentions, ruin their life, destroy their job, whatever it is. That's what someone's going to be tempted to do. To not do that now, that'll buckle someone now if they can see this and they're actually wanting to do what's right and see something. Be spinning in circles saying, how do I do this? How do I do this? So they never believed Messiah's words, did they? That with man, it's impossible. What is he speaking about? The Father's narrow way and all truth, all of it is impossible with man. That's true. But with the Creator, nothing's impossible. Nothing's too hard. And there it is. There's the truth. That's why we read that. It doesn't have to do with some plastic toy. Fighting over a rubber tire or something. What tire is better? What I chose is always better than someone else. Tiring. And self has done that thing. I'm tired of seeing it in self too. Just stupid and evil and brings no good to someone. For real, it doesn't. What's the lie? Believing that it does. And trying to do things to prove that it does. You do things on purpose to prove your lie. It's happening all the time. It's a constant cover up. That's what evil is. That's the nature of evil. Good doesn't have to cover. It does as a benefit for being good. It doesn't have to, doesn't need to, as a benefit, cover or hide anything, which is who the Father is. He's not actually doing that with evil intention. It's that mankind's blind and that they have to learn and receive from him. He's not hiding it with a wicked intention, but he is hiding it from those that don't believe. Surely that's going to offend someone and sound contradicting. Those are the words. That's how I know how to say it. Speaking out of something I see, there's a difference between those two things, pretty big. It's like the difference between light and dark. That's how much different. But they look and sound the same for a spiritual image in someone's mind. Did the Pharisees understand anything? Does anybody? Without him, without anything being given? All of that carnality, the branches, I believe fully that part of the pruning is carnal. That's the carnality that needs, because nothing good needs to be cut off. If it's truly good, it remains. But whatever is mixed or not good, that's what has to be separated and cut off from whatever is good that's been given to someone. That always remains. And if someone sees change for real, they don't know what it is, but they see it. They see the works. Because, that can't be hid. The works someone could see. A blind person can see the works, which sounds contradicting, but they're blind because they don't believe it or see it or know what it means or believe it's possible. That's the difference. That's why someone's blind. You can see someone throwing a rock. Let's say that's a good work. They see it, but now do they believe it? Do they understand it and do it? Want to do that? Are they doing that? That's where the blinding is. And it's strong. It's strong. Nobody can see what they're doing if they're doing evil in that moment. They can't see it. They literally can't see it. That means they can't see it. That doesn't speak well to pride. Pride doesn't want to hear that. Pride is evil. Pride is a monster. Pride is the devil. Pride is a snake in the heart. It's already a God, man, king in its own mind. And he throws them down, throws everyone down. All, don't we read, who are raised up in pride, who are lifted up in this way will be brought low, and all that are brought low, good, his way, humble, which the world will see as pride only. You can count on it. Will be lifted up, the good lifting up. But when they see that lifting up, the world will see pride. They called the good evil and evil good right there. Do they believe they called good evil and evil good? No. Is it important to them? No. Does it mean anything to them? No. They just already hate it. Just already hate it from the heart, from youth, from birth even, which is everyone. That's why someone has to be born again. And that's thrown around like a rag doll. That's not something you go around saying, I'm born again, I'm born again. What is that? It's not even about the thing or telling someone don't do that. Why is that done? It's like showing off. What is that, pride? And what does it mean to someone? They're born again from above, born from above. That means you start from nothing, like a little baby. That's why we see that. That's why that reality is true, because it means something. It already meant something first. And then you have to work, grow up and learn how to walk. That means something, and it doesn't mean learning how to literally walk. It doesn't mean that. And people will see this is good. The kid can walk now, Why is that important? Why does that matter to the parent or something? Do they even know? No. They know what they do. Don't know the good, don't know the evil. But believe the lie from the beginning, Genesis, that they actually already know the difference between good and evil. And who said that? That's not the Father's words right there. That you will know good and evil for sin, but put it in fine print, hide it, twist it, change it, cover it up. Don't say anything that's truth out in the open, because that might, someone might see that. Make it sneaky, make it sound good and delicious, like all sin is. For an image, a strong temptation for someone that without the Father's power and help, they've already succumbed to it a long time ago. It's not like it's coming someday for someone. It's already true. It's already Adam and Eve. That's what a believer has to find out, that they are Adam and Eve. Carnal. naked, sinful, couldn't do good, didn't do good, didn't obey the Creator's voice. That's the point. That's all sin. That's all rebellion right there in those words. All of it. Because it's one. It's connected. Those words is just like all his word is connected, and it's one. It's everything. It's all the other truth at the same time. All of his truth is like that. It's part of the tree for good, and then there's the evil tree. It just looks something like a tree. It just tries to look like the true thing, but it doesn't produce any good fruit because that fruit only comes from above. So then its own works is the bad fruit. Its own self-righteous works is the bad fruit, rotten, no good fruit. That is what sin is, thinking that we can do good of ourselves. That is what the rebellion is. That's what rebellion is, not obeying parents for a picture. Kids not obeying parents. Rebellion. It's prideful, it's insecure, so it needs to find something that's better and different than everyone else and do it its own way, and it needs to find out the death that's going to cause also, and it does, and it will. It's happening constantly. You have to speak sometimes like as if it's not happening or will happen in the future, but it will in the future, but it's already true. It's happening already. And all his truth is, was, is, and is to come. Hard to comprehend. It's all one. It's always true. It's always working. It's always coming. It always was. It always is. And so is all the evil too. Was, is, and is to come. So is the image of the beast. It always was. Right from the beginning. Someone loved the image of the true, which is all sin and rebellion, because it's not real. It's fake. It's fraudulent. It's not the truth. Therefore, it's not real. And not literally manifested physically, not real. That's not the meaning. It's not real. It's completely fake. That's like summing up evil too, and different words could be used. Instead of love, it's fake. It's not real. And the lie everywhere, the temptation is going to be to believe the lie, that the lie is real. You start believing, and I find business is a good example, because what is it not dealing with besides money all the time and gain? So using it as an example, everyone starts out telling themselves that they're doing it for this and that reason. They call this sellouts in this world. Everyone sold out a long time ago. They were sold to sin and slavery to it. In this wicked age, the Father buys back a few, and he can buy back the rest. And we read he will. That's the truth. If he's able to do anything for someone today, why can't he do it? No matter how much later it is in time, why can't he do it later? Why? The church world implies that the Father's wicked, no good, a monster. They see in him whatever they are still and project that onto him, and he takes it. Has anyone ever considered how much evil the Father bears with, how much patience he has before something really bad happens to someone? No one could know that judgment, all those judgments, except him perfectly. You might see only a couple minutes, a little piece, a tiny piece of maybe his judgment here or there, but no one can see every thought, every single work and that person ever did, and all of that would have to be considered for whatever comes on someone. That would have to be seen first before someone could talk and act like they're the creator and figured someone out, which is what seemingly everyone seems to want to do in this world, is just try to figure someone out. That doesn't mean there's no good way. It's just I'm talking about the not good thing that I see. Do they care, or do they just want to know something with no good intentions? And that's why they're acting like they care. It's a nice sell. It's a nice image, and it's bought all the time. It's bought. That's how all his truth is. It's disappointing when the carnality is exposed. It's a little disappointing that that wasn't the truth. Our own understanding wasn't the truth. You know, like we read, nobody's thoughts, our thoughts are not his thoughts. From self, who and what everyone is, speaking about that old man, carnal man, is never going to be his thoughts, even for a believer. It never will be, ever, never, even for a believer. But there's a difference. Those things are given, but it will never be, even for a believer, their own from self, and whatever that truly is will never be his thoughts. That's hard to accept. And, you know, what does pruning look like? You think you believe it and know it until he shows you more. And then more is cut off. And then after that happens a few times, you start not believing anymore that you can do anything of self, or no, you just don't believe that anymore. You just let it be. Just accept that you don't know what you don't know, and don't even know how much you don't know. You know, that starts being belief for real. That wasn't so in the beginning. No way. And if someone is saying so and having nothing to do with the Father, they're lying. They're lying. Just like we read, if someone hates another brother who they can see, literally, and they're doing evil to them with the heart, always a distinction between a stupid image, what something looks like to someone, versus the heart intentions, that what's being done for real. And if they're actually doing evil, even if they look good doing it, they're a liar, like we read. They don't know the Father. They don't love the Father at all. They don't care at all, because the works prove that. See, it's not even possible. It's supposed to be like Messiah. There's a good way for doing that, and then there's the worldly, evil, dark way of trying to masquerade and be like someone for, you know, worldly, greedy, perverted, corrupt heart, you know, all those reasons, self-gain, their face plastered everywhere and like on a tower somewhere, you know, with the heart's intention. Just fill self up, kill as many people as you want, like a wolf needing to stay alive to just eat the sheep, eat the wolves, who cares? Now, the perfect thing is a sheep can't fight back. That's going to offend someone when they have to actually do that. In reality, that picture, when they have to do that with their heart, they won't be able to do it unless they're getting the power from the Father and asking for it, receiving it, and learning it from Him. They won't be able to do it. No one, I can't do it. No one can do it from self, not even Messiah. And that's for good, because that's the truth. I'm sure it sounds real nasty to the church world to talk like that not even Messiah could do any good of self. Have they ever read? They don't want to go there because it has to do with self and sin. It's what they're running from. And it just has to be that. So Messiah already knows that. He knows man's heart. It's been given by the Father. We read that. He didn't need to go out and like figure it out. We read somewhere. He already knew what is in man's heart. That verse stands out right there to me. But then again, anything might stand out depending on what time it is, whatever he gives. He already knew what is in man's heart. He knows. The world's not going to believe it. They can't believe it. They can't believe the Father's truth, the Creator's truth, because it's all the same. It exposes the evil and darkness that someone's always been trying to hide and cover up, and they think they do a good job while revealing who and what they are all the time. They think they're hiding while they do all that evil. How can someone say they believe and start out saying that even, and then can't even hardly use the words for what happens a little later. Just how much they hate him and say it openly. It's shocking. And if someone's not standing very strong, that might shake them. And that is their intention. That can be counted on when that evil is done. They won't acknowledge it. Hopefully they do. But self can't do that. They'll never acknowledge that that's their intention, to destroy someone, seeking someone to devour, because it's hungry and empty and dead itself. Therefore, as a punishment, it has to do more evil for that first evil and unbelief. That's a hard thing. That's the truth. Cain has to deal with whatever's coming. That's what you get. That's what everyone gets for sin. It's coming back, and Cain says, I can't bear it. And there's some mercy mixed in too. Who can see that? Because someone would only see from this world only evil, but there's some mercy even mixed. He doesn't even punish as someone really deserves, that he must know, which is proof that he's merciful even when it's a hard judgment. That there's been mercy mixed in a bunch of times already. It's already happened in someone's life, and they don't want to see it. That's the natural man. He doesn't want to see it. He doesn't want to see it. He can act like he wants to. Why? To hide that he has nothing to do with it. That's how you hide. There it is. You create an image of exactly the opposite thing of what you're trying to hide. The more someone has to show and prove that in this world, and it's all carnal, the more they are whatever they're trying to hide than someone even else that's not doing it to as much of a degree. Because there's greater sin, less sin, but all is sin, all is evil. No one's better, no one's worse. But there is greater and more nasty sin. That's just true, and there's lesser. Lesser doesn't mean it's good. It means it's just less. That's it. Surprise. That's the truth so often in so many things in his word, is that it's true. That was said just because it's true. Someone will already imply that some false thing is true, see? And that's why those words are said. Well, that is what the world does all the time. That's why someone pours out what they are still and all that evil out there to others, because that's all they are and receive from others also. And that's how you try to hide and make it look like you're not that. But you can't. No one can lie in reality. It's called delusion now, but they're lying to themselves. The big fish swallow the little fish, It's going to happen every time. Once that fish gets big and wicked, what else is it going to do? It has to swallow this little fish to survive. It just uses people and rapes them spiritually at the least. The spiritual rape is what people get off on constantly, force themselves on others, spiritually speaking. That's the sin. That's the real sin. Sometimes that happens literally. That's not the understanding. That's not the heavenly thing. That thing not everyone literally does. Everyone has done and is doing the spiritual wickedness. Everyone. That's why we read repent, because it's already true for everyone. For everyone. Rotten, no good, rebellious children. And Adam needs to die. There's nothing good in him. Does that prove the apostle's wicked now? Like, has nothing to do? Is not a believer specifically, like someone in the world, many will try to create a sorcery onto someone because they want to desperately destroy someone's faith. It always goes back to the heart of that. They get off on destroying others. That's the only way they can survive. and keep that beast alive is by doing evil. It's such a trap. It's such a hardcore trap from the Creator above. It's so foolish and blind and hypocritical. It's such a hardcore trap. Now, in pride, can pride believe this? No, it can't believe or understand this. It thinks it's good, it's God, it's getting away with everything, all of that. When something does happen that's bad for someone's image, you can bet that there's no sign of them anywhere. They are out there hiding somewhere. When something good happens for someone's image, there they are, trying at least. That's what matters. Doesn't matter whether someone makes it out in this world or not. It's always the heart's intention. That other stuff doesn't prove anything by itself, even if it is a lot of evidence for something. It never proves anything by itself. It has to be discerned, even if it's obvious to someone. That truth is never changing. It doesn't prove something automatically by itself, what something looks like or sounds like. That's what the carnal judgment is that Messiah didn't do. A lot of commands from him, more than, well, at least the church world even remotely realizes. And obviously the world's not realizing. And there's a lot. Those words are there for a reason. Now, if it was the truth and if that was the good thing, we could just read love. That's it. But that's not what we read. It's not what the reality is. Now all the fine details down to the smallest one needs to be learned and seen that make up what love is. And if you remove even one of them, it's not love. It's already corrupt and mixed. And if something's mixed, it's not pure. It's therefore not the truth at all, zero. Even if it has some carnal truth in it or some kind of truth in it, that is what sin is. It's mixed. It's to trick people and confuse them. Spiritual confusion, spiritual itches that you can't get rid of. You have to scratch the itch. It's a punishment, a judgment for sin that people can read. All the curses that would happen that they think only applies to like a few people long ago or some nonsense that we learn is utterly blind and untrue. Just learn that it's true today just as much as it was yesterday. Exactly. No different. Just as true. No different. Same. What people understand or don't understand doesn't change whatever the Father's truth is. It's always the same. And if something's true, it's in His Word, there's going to be support for it. He never changes because He's perfect. To change then would be to be doing evil, to be not perfect, imperfect. And so now Messiah doesn't change. That's a torment to someone in darkness. Light. Not literal light, that's not the understanding. It's torment. It just already is. That's how powerful His truth is. It doesn't matter who someone is or what they think they are. If it's truth, they don't even realize they're hating it already that so much. Don't even see it. Repentance isn't, I need to fix my image. Crap, I'm losing money. People think of me badly. Oh no. And then they say sorry because that was their only option. That's all fake. None of that's real. It's happening all the time. Don't buy it. Only get discernment from the Father. That's it. Through Messiah, that's it. Otherwise, it's likely a trick. Some kind of deceit already mixed in. That has to be there, but we can't believe it. That's not going to go away right now, but, we have to believe whatever the truth is, whatever's right. It just has to be so, and we have those scriptures too about this world needing to be exactly what it is. I don't have a bunch of specific verses in mind, but I just know already. I know somewhere inside, I know that's what His Word is teaching, that it can be found. And it points to that, so much of it connected like that. the world cannot see him, the world cannot know him, like we read. That does not mean the world can see him and know him. I think I gotta go now. See truth from above always.